Hey everyone, I don't know if you can tell, but I am super, super happy right now. I am like a kid on Christmas or Hanukkah or what have you, and I know that we've passed those holidays a while ago, but take a look around. I mean, look, we did not have a white Christmas or a white Hanukkah in Israel, at least not in Jerusalem, but today we're coming to you live from the Hermon, and this is not, we're not in the middle of the Alpines or something like that. We are in Israel. We're at the northern end of Israel, going up on this cable car to the tip top of the Hermon mountain. So we're making our way now to 2,200 meters above sea level. A little bit more, that's a little bit more than 7,000 feet above sea level. And when you get to these heights, obviously the climate changes. And this is one of the most incredible things about Israel. I know some of you have probably heard us flaunt about this before, but this is a country where if you drive like an Israeli, right, and you start off the day in Israel's northernmost tip at the Hermon mountain, within, I'd say about 8 hours or so, again, depends how fast you drive, you can already be snorkeling on the beaches of Eilat. And it's this incredible, incredible thing, this incredible phenomenon that we have here in Israel. Now, what is the story? How is this possible? I'd say that if you really want to understand it, we got to go into a little bit of geomorphology, as it's called. And the name, the complicated name, is actually not even as complicated as the actual science of understanding the science of, how the earth works. And I'm not a scientist, but I'm going to try to give you a little bit of an understanding. Basically, Israel sits at the heart of one of the most dramatic earth science occurrences. We sit on what's called the Syrian-African rift line. And basically, this is a point where the tectonic plates of the earth kind of, they're not sitting, we're stopped. Are not sitting so solid right next to each other. And, at a certain point in history, they moved just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot, and a lot of pressure that had been building up over millions of years kind of exploded. And that created what we know today as the Jordan Valley. It's the reason that we have the Kinneret, the Lake of the Galilee, was formed during that period of time, giving us a natural reservoir for drinking water. And the Jordan River as well, and the Jordan Valley, as I said, and the Dead Sea to the south. And the Hermon Mountain is a part of that story as well. It kind of rose up with that release of pressure and that crazy tectonic drama that happened millions of years ago. And you think about it, if you think about the path that I'm talking about, right? The Hermon Mountain is part of that drama in the north. It goes all the way down south, following along that Jordan Valley to the Dead Sea. And that's all because of this incredible drama. I feel like I'm chattering just because it's not the cold, but I'm just so excited to be here. It takes some effort to get up here. It is not an easy drive unless you live up north, in which case you are super lucky this time of year. But we had to make a little bit of a drive today. It took us about 3.5 hours, 4 if you include the bathroom breaks. But we're coming to you live from this incredible site, and look at this powder. I mean, you don't get snow like this anywhere else in Israel. And take a look. Let's take a look. Are we getting the skiers? That guy just wiped out. Oh my gosh. We got some snowboarders. We got some skiers. This has been described as, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of ski experience. To tell you that the slopes here are amazing. We got snowboarders right down here. Let's see them take off. Hey, how's it going? All right, to tell you that these are the best slopes in the world, no, my ski snob buddies will definitely be heading somewhere else to do their skiing. But it's not bad slopes, and the fact that it's here in Israel, in this what's considered to be this desert country, is really something pretty spectacular. Well, check it out. I think we got all these people. These somewhat look like, I'm not sure if these are soldiers or just people who have managed to get hold of these army jumpsuits. Right over here, look at everyone over here. They're all decked out in green. This is like what's called a Hermonit. Actually, the name of this warm bodysuit that they're wearing is taken from the mountain that we're on right now, Hermonit, because that's where it's so popularly used, because it's so cold out here. And as we got out of the car and we were like, hey, this isn't so cold. And the further we go with every single step, it's just getting colder and colder as we go up, We got 10 meters here, another 10 meters there, another 10 meters there, and take a look at what's waiting for us off in the distance. We're heading up towards, not the summit, but we're making our way towards the peak of at least this part of the mountain where the ski site is. Now, this is the tallest mountain in all of Israel. And there's a running joke amongst tour guides and people who have been on enough tours here in Israel. It's that, you know, on a good day, wherever you are in the country, you can actually see the Hermon. This is the mountain that you can see really from multiple vantage points throughout the country. Again, the Israeli part of the Hermon, and I'll clarify what that means in a minute, the Israeli part of the Hermon stands at just around 2,200 meters above sea level. So we're talking about a little over 7,000 feet above sea level. The peak of the mountain, actually, the Hermon is so large that it actually spans all the way from Lebanon to Syria with Israel in the middle, and the bit that we're on right now is only 7% of the actual Hermon mountain range. The highest peak straddles the border between Lebanon and Syria. It's really considered Syrian though, and it sits at about 2,800 meters above sea level. So there are people who would actually say that this mountain, this is the only mountain in Israel. Everything else, they're just really, really tall hills. This is the proper mountain and mountain range, and we're here to explore. We are here to enjoy the winter wonderland here at the Hermon. I'm really, really, really stoked. I think this is also a great time as we come to you live from this incredible northern tip. This is a great time to ask you guys, let us know where it is that you're tuning in from. Write it in the comments below, and compare the weather. We want to know, you know, what's the weather like? Is it snowing where you guys are right now? Has it warmed up a little bit? But we're so thrilled to be enjoying this right now. This Hermon mountain experience is just about to begin right now. We're about to make it to the top of the ski lift right now. I'm excited beyond words really at this point, and I hope you're as excited as I am. I need to get a little prepared here. Woo! Woo! Oh, it is so much colder right now. It's like it's beginning to really enter the bones. And we're about to get off the ski lift, and that is where our alpine exploration of the Hermon is about to begin, and to really take it to the next level right now. Check it out. Just take a look around right now. Take a look at how wonderful this all is. Just breathe it all in. Take a good deep breath. This is crisp air. I haven't felt this since I left Cleveland, Ohio. Hey Cleveland, super excited. We're gonna walk around a little bit. We are going to hear about how it was that the Hermon was conquered and became a part of Israel, and understand some of what makes the Hermon so special other than just the snow. So here we go, get ready we're gonna make our departure in just one moment. Woo! All right, raising up the bar, we gotta get our feet off, and are you guys ready for this? We're at the top of the Hermon mountain. Come on with me. We've got people from all across the world who have come to the Hermon today to see the Hermon in wintertime and to take in this incredible snow. The Hermon, its name actually in Arabic is Jabal al-Sheikh, which means the old man, basically, and it's because of this incredible white covering that it has. It's like the head, the top of an old man's head, an old man's hair. The name Hermon actually has multiple names. Depends all on which culture, which ancient culture you're coming from. It's known as the Sirion, which means the breastplate in ancient Phoenician, and Hermon is actually Hebrew. The root probably comes from Chet Resh Mem, from Haram, a word that both in Hebrew and Arabic has the root means holy. And we, throughout history, we've actually seen how there's all of these myths or traditions and mythologies built around the Hermon mountain. You have already in the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh describes how the Hermon mountain is formed when he kills the king of the cedars, which makes sense considering that the Hermon stretches throughout Lebanon. Lebanon is famous for its cedar trees. You have in the book of Enoch, which is like kind of one of these books that wasn't accepted into the canon, a lot of real esoteric stuff. We hear about how the watchers, these fallen angels, make their way to the Hermon mountain after their fall from grace, and they basically take upon themselves an oath to take from the earth women, from the daughters of man, and to take their sin upon themselves. But I think that what's really incredibly touching, and some of the most incredible descriptions that we have about the Hermon can actually be found in the classics right here. Once we open up the Tanakh, once we open up the Bible, and we already read in the book of the Song of Songs, King Solomon's description when he's describing his beloved. The beloved is described as Iti milvanon kala, from Lebanon, come with me. Iti milvanon tavoi, from Lebanon, my bride, with me. Tashuri mirosh Amonah, trip down from Amanah's peaks. Merosh Snir, the Hermon, from the peaks of Snir and Hermon. Mimonot Arayot, Miharei Nimarim, from the dens of lions, from the hills of leopards. Snir, Sirion, Hermon, 3 biblical names that actually are still in use today, describing different peaks of the Hermon mountain range. Now take a look around, look at all the beautiful frolicking that's going on here, all the fun that's happening. This is really the only place in Israel where you can go sledding during the winter. Just take it in for a moment and let us know where it is that you're tuning in from. If you got some sledding in this winter, we'd love to hear from you. And while you're doing that, I also want you to hear the incredible description. A description that sheds light on what is so special and important and unique about the Hermon to Israel. Because already in the time of King David, when he's writing the Psalms, the psalmist writes, Shir Amar David, a song of ascents of David. This is Psalm 133. Hinei matov umanaim, shevet achim gam yachad. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers dwell together. כשמן הטוב על הראש יורד על הזקן, זקן הארון שיורד על פי מילותיו. It's like a fine oil on the head, running down onto the beard of Aaron that comes down over the collar of his robe. כטל חרמון שיורד על הררי ציון. Like the dew of Hermon that falls upon the mountains of Zion. When brothers dwell together, when people sit together and enjoy each other's company, it's beautiful. It's as beautiful as the dew of the Hermon. And this is important for 2 reasons. One is I want you to take a look around and see the different people from all across the world and from all walks of life in Israel who have come here today to frolic in the snow together, have snowball fights just for the sake of, of having fun. No one's actually fighting with each other. You've got Jews, Christians, Muslims, Druze, everyone here frolicking together in the snow. But the other important thing that I want you to understand as I hand off my Bible is taking that biblical description of the dew of the Hermon and understanding why that's so important for Israel. The Hermon mountain is basically made out of a bunch of layers, sedimentary layers of limestone. It's a very hard stone, and it serves, as strange as this is going to sound, the fact that it's so heavy, the fact that it's so hard, it actually allows the Hermon to serve in some ways as a sponge. That's one of its names, the giant nicknames by tour guides at least. It's the giant sponge of Israel. Now, it's not soft and and capable of absorbing. It's actually really hard, and the cracks that form in that hard stone allow the water and more like the melting snow to kind of seep into the Hermon and also flow off of the Hermon into springs down below. And from the springs down below, the water flows through three tributaries to the Jordan River, and from the Jordan River, it flows into the Lake of Galilee, into the Kinneret. The Kinneret, of course, is the natural reservoir for all of Israel. Anyone who's seen previous tours knows I've talked about this before. There's almost like a national sport where we measure the water levels of the Kinneret to see how we're doing in this country. So much of Israel's water source is dependent on the Hermon mountain. And that's one of the reasons why in 1967, following the great victories of the first few days of the Six-Day War, it's so crazy to think about it. I was about to be like, the first part of it was only a few days. We're talking about the last couple days of the Six-Day War, 9th and 10th of June. There are IAF, Israeli Air Force officers sitting on the border with Syria, or what's about to be the ceasefire line with Syria. And one of them, Mati Hod, one of these high-ranking officers who grew up in the north and always looked at the Hermon mountain, always stared at the Hermon mountain that sat in Syrian and Lebanese territory. He takes a look at it and he says, you know what? He's on this euphoria, right? He's having we've just conquered, Israel has just, conquered, liberated Jerusalem, reclaimed Jerusalem, reunited Jerusalem, an incredible victory following what people were convinced was going to be a mass slaughter and the end of the Jewish state as we know it. And following that, with all of that euphoria, Mati Hod looks out on the Hermon and says, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if we just took a couple of helicopters all the way up to the Hermon, put some of our troops at the top of the Hermon and declared it to be Israeli? And this is a story that was confirmed by the tour guide who told me this story, actually confirmed it with Mati Hod. That's really what happened. They took these helicopters up to the top of the Hermon mountain. They basically put Israeli troops there, planted the Israeli flag. No one was here. And 7% of the whole length of the Hermon mountain became Israeli. That's all we're dealing with right now. As I mentioned this before, 7% of the mountain is Israeli. The rest of it is split between Syria and between Lebanon. Now, it's not just the precipitation that makes it so critical to Israel, but it's also the height. Now, I can't give you the proper view that you need to understand this because I don't even know if we're allowed to film this. You can see off in the distance. I don't want to film the soldiers. We got a closed military area. I'm facing a closed military area right now. We don't want to film it because we want to keep this live stream going. We don't want it to be interrupted. But basically, this is an area, the height of the Hermon mountain, 2,200 meters, straddling the border, basically right on the border with Syria and with Lebanon, allows Israel to be able to peer deep into hostile territory and to see if there is a threat coming. And so this is going to be a critical site for Israel to establish military posts, to listen in, to radar posts, and air radar posts and intelligence posts more than anything else that are up here. Now, the Syrians know this. The Syrians, as we say in Hebrew, the Syrians aren't frayerim, they're not suckers. They know exactly what is happening, why the Hermon is so important, and it's only going to take them about 6 years. It's going to take them 6 years till they decide, you know what, it's time to reconquer it. And the beginning of October 6, 1973, when the Yom Kippur War breaks out, the Syrians are going to set their eyes here on the Hermon mountain. And they too will send helicopters. They too will send helicopters to the Hermon and will place 3 helicopters, eventually leading to, they'll have about 400 soldiers attacking this small little base on top of the Hermon, a base that's mainly used for, like I said, intelligence and Air Force reasons, and for reconnaissance and for information, intelligence reconnaissance. There's going to be maybe about 13, 14 actual combat soldiers who are here when 400 Syrian commandos take over and reconquer after a heavy barrage of shelling, followed by the landing of those helicopters. They forced those soldiers into a closed area and they take over the Hermon mountain fort. What's going to follow is a series of a couple of battles where Israel is going to decide that we cannot just give up on the Hermon. We must reclaim the Hermon because of the strategic and geological importance that the Hermon has, but the strategic importance more than anything else. 13 soldiers will be killed with that initial Syrian attack. A couple days later, the 8th of October, thinking that there's still soldiers trapped on the top of the Hermon, Israel is going to send Golani soldiers to go all the way up the hill to try to make their way all the way. Take a look down there. I want you to take a look, understand what it is to have to where this base is sitting at, more or less, and they've got to make their way all the way up the hill. The Syrians have the clear upper hand, the Golani soldiers with all their packs on, and they are just met by a crazy volley of fire from the Syrians. 25 soldiers are going to be killed, and it'll only be towards the end of the war, with the ceasefire on October 24th looming, that they will try one more time. Golani, along with a small unit of paratrooper soldiers, they'll make their way back up here one more time with 55 soldiers giving their lives for the Hermon. And when these soldiers get to the top, and when they get to where they are now, one soldier by the name of Benny took a look around and said, okay, now I get it. The Hermon is the eyes of the country. The strategic importance that it gives is something that's unparalleled, and it's clear, although there was a heavy price to pay, it was clear how important it was to reclaim the Hermon. And today, of course, we get to also benefit from the fact that it's just so beautiful, so amazing, and so much fun. Like the dew coming down from the Hermon. Just take it all in. Where else do you have this in Israel? Enjoy it, everybody. We're going to go for maybe a little bit of a ski ride. Hope you'll join me on that. And we will see you next week for another tour.
Now, history is great, but what we really love about the Hermon is the winter sports. All right, haven't done this for years. Wish me luck. Here we go. Stand with us.